All right, thanks for joining, everybody. Head coach Nicki Collen here. If you have a question for her, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll call on you. We'll go ahead and start with Howard Mendel. Go ahead, Howard.
Nicki, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to talk to you about potential combinations of Aari with Kennedy together. If you look at what Kennedy did off the ball last year, she was super effective. She was above a point per possession in a number of those different ways. Is it something you're thinking about both now and also just as part of the decision to draft them?
Yeah, I mean, without question, I think they can play together. I think what we've seen over the last, today was the first day actually we had Kennedy in practice, and Aari and Kennedy were on the same team. So, we saw that combination today live. We played a lot of 5-on-5 today, knowing we're going into a day off, really wanted to gas them to the best of my ability. And so was really good to see them together. I think the pace and the speed, they can do so many things with the basketball. I mean, I think over the last 3 days, even we're sometimes surprised at just how fast Aari is. And then on the flip side, just how explosive Kennedy can be with the basketball. So, it comes down to decision making, right? Those are both players that are used to scoring the basketball a lot. So it's touching the paint, making the right read. And so that'll just be growth for both of them. But I thought they made good decisions today. We're really trying to eliminate 16 to 21-foot shots. And so really, really searching the paint, getting them to kill spots off the bounce, or, finding ways to kick it out, where we were really good points per possession in 2020. So yeah, we're going to see, over time that they're little, but they're both pretty tough. So, I don't know a lot of teams in this league that spend a lot of time posting up their two guards.
Hey, Terrell, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. So obviously it's day 2. What are some of those adjustments or improvements that you've seen already just from the first day with the team as a whole?
Yeah, this was day 3 for us. So sometimes it can look a little ragged, just from a physical perspective. They've been going up and down. They've been going side to side for 3 days. And so the challenge today was really to play through fatigue to make today our best day of camp. And I actually thought it was. I thought from a competitive perspective, we turned every drill into competition. I just know in day 3 when they start to fatigue that, if it's a go through the motions, get through the screen teaching day, that oftentimes you lose them. And so we turned every teaching drill into a competitive drill. And they really responded to that. I'm not a big let's run if you lose, but we even added that component today, just some simple down backs just to give them a little extra juice to compete. So I think a lot of it is, and I think they would tell you the same thing, they have to learn to play together. We're learning to play with pace and under control. And so, I've seen better screening. The big focus today was screening. We have to be a good screening team. We're not just throw it in the post and watch somebody play. So our screens, whether they're ball screens, whether they're pin downs, whatever it is, we've got to execute. And the more we're in transition, the better we're going to be, and the harder we're going to be to guard. And that's across the board in the league. Teams are better in transition. But I think us, especially with our speed and our guard play and the mobility of our posts, that's how we have to win. We have to win in transition. We've got to create some things off our defense. So, I think it's just, you're starting to see the wheels turn, less patterns, more playing in terms of running out of sets. It doesn't work. We twist it, we get into the next action. So we're going to continue to build on that every day. It's not going to be perfect, but, as long as they grind, as long as they're tough, I really enjoyed coaching them today.
Raphael Haynes, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Raphael from the 3-point conversion. Coach, yesterday you talked about how you're not an isolation team. You don't like isolation. But how difficult is that when you have players as in Kennedy, Aari, Tip, even Odyssey, that are great isolation players?
Yeah, well, understand what I mean by isolation. We are going to get them to the open side of the floor. We are going to put them in actions and give them space to play. What I don't like is watching someone dribble around and the ball getting stuck in their hands. So, we're going to run actions to open sides to get those guys downhill and continue to coach them to make good decisions. So if they get downhill, have they touched the paint? Do they have a shot? Do they have a kick out? Are they involving their teammates? And so, when I say isolation, we're just not going to isolate on a side and let someone pound the ball 47 times and then go one-on-one and score a kick out. Like, that's not what I want to see. I want the ball to have energy. I want it to move. But certainly we're going to open up actions, whether it's Iverson cuts or middle of the floor actions, and let them reject screens and play into space. We have players who are creative, and we're going to let them create. But to me, there's a big difference between that and true isolation basketball, whether it's post isolation or whether it's perimeter isolation.
Spencer Nussbaum, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to hear. So through the first 3 days, you've talked kind of ad nauseum about fatigue and making sure the energy level is high in training camp. I was wondering if you could just talk more broadly about maybe the conversations you and your staff have had about, making sure that the fatigue doesn't really set in towards the middle of the season or towards the end of the season, especially since, we're still coming off the pandemic.
Sure. I mean, I think the beauty of this team is we have some depth, so, I think when you compare it to, our first year here where we had some depth, my goal was to keep no starter at 30 minutes, and so if we're playing starters or, our first player off the bench might play more minutes, who knows at this point, but, trying to keep players at 28 minutes, I think that's the difference. When you play 35 minutes every game and you're playing with pace, I think then that wears on you. I mean, obviously this year we've got an Olympic break too. And so, you're not nearly as concerned about, the depth early on because you are going to have a mid-season break. And at this point, the only person on our team, that will be playing in the Olympics is Elizabeth with the Nigerian national team. So, assuming everything goes well and we have, time off at the Olympic break, I think you're going to see less fatigue. We've just got to honestly maintain, kind of find ways to maintain conditioning over the break. So, I think we have depth to fight fatigue, but I think right now we have so many players who, are coming off not playing overseas season. And I know a lot of franchisers are similar to that, to where players just need to get in playing shape. And to me, the best way to do it is to play. So, mixing teaching in with playing.
Cheryl Coward, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned briefly leadership and speed when referring to Aari. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what you expect from her along those lines, especially with the preseason game coming up at the end of the week?
Yeah, I mean, Aari's look, the toughest position to be a rookie in this league is point guard. It's not even close. You're trying to manage yourself and your own expectations, but you got to manage the 4 people on the court with you all the time, and so, it's going to be a learning process for her. And she doesn't have the same situation that Kennedy had a year ago, where we just didn't have a choice but to, throw Kennedy in the fire, and see, how she sink or swim, that type of thing. And she had great moments and she struggled at times. I think with Aari, it's about, getting her minutes, using her speed, having her pick people up and defend 94 feet, but, we're pretty interchangeable. Like Odyssey and Aari and Kennedy can all 3 run the one and run it really, really effectively, I think, in the WNBA. And so those combinations with Courtney and, certainly can't wait to get Tiffany Hayes back. I was watching how good we were defensively on the ball, and Tiffany Hayes might be the best defender in this franchise. So, ultimately, like, you add her to the picture and, we give Aari, kind of ground rules in terms of be yourself, but be aggressive. We've got leadership on this team. We have Elizabeth Williams. Tiana Hawkins is a really good leader. Odyssey Sims is a really good leader. Their voices are being heard consistently, and I think that's really a nice, situation for us to have those veterans, to help her along, to encourage her. But, Aari's like, she's never too high. She's never too low. She's just going to keep competing. She's made some shots. She's missed some shots. But, she's so even keeled that she's always going to defend. She's always going to give you, good ball pressure and never stop competing.
Edwin Powell, go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Just wondering, is 3 days enough for you to really get done everything you need to get done in the training camp? What would be kind of an ideal number of days you could have to really get with your team?
Oh, I mean, ultimately, like I just, I kind of believe in the philosophy of 3 days on, 1 day off, because I think, you get to the point where when you're going 2.5 hours, which we won't do once the regular season starts, I think we need to get them off their feet. Some of them will get shots, some of them will just do recovery work. I mean, this is the WNBA. We're used to 3-week training camps, so I feel great about our situation right now, because a year ago I had 9 players in training camp in the bubble with shorter practice slots and everyone coming off a pandemic and being out of shape. So, I think this is just normal for us. Would I rather have more than 3 weeks of training camp? Absolutely. And so you cram as much as you can in, you figure out, I was looking back at our practice plans from my last year in Connecticut as an assistant. I think we had like 20 sets in 3 days. Here we've got about 6. But I think if as long as we're playing fast and we're executing the 6 we've got at a high level, that's more important than the volume of things we have in, teaching them to play. And so, and letting them be creative. I mean, and so, we're not going to be a finished product on May 15th. I don't think any team in this league will be, but I think teams that have been together longer are going to be more of a, give you more their normal look. We're going to be a team that's got to figure out how to grind, got to, figure out how to compete if we're not making shots, and, dig in on the defensive end and win ugly at times, but I think as time goes on, I think we can be a really pretty basketball team. I think we've got a lot of pieces. I think we have people that can shoot it from the post that, we have not had, since I've been here. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of pieces that are going to come together, but people are going to have to give us time, and give us the grace, to kind of figure it out, because I don't think any team in 3 weeks is going to be a finished product.
All right, last couple of questions here. We'll go back to Howard Bengal first. Go ahead, Howard.
Nikki, the 2 more on Aari, if I could, just specific to her 3-point shooting, which, she's always been a willing shooter, but it wasn't necessarily something she shot for a high percentage when she was at Arizona. And just related to that, you talked about the difficulty of being a rookie point guard in this league. On the defensive end especially, she obviously comes in with a lot of defensive bona fides. She obviously puts the effort in there. She was terrific at picking up steals in college. But what is reasonable to expect from her as a defensive player year 1 as a point guard in this league?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, I think she can be very Jordan Canada-ish, in Jordan's first couple years in the league, where, it was the game changes, when she comes into the game. Not that you don't want Sue Bird out there as many minutes as Sue can play, but ultimately, Jordan brought a different defensive energy to the basketball. And I think that's what she can do. I think she's got unbelievable. I mean, I've said for 2 years, she's a small Tiffany Hayes. Like, her feet are moving all the time. She's hard to screen. She recovers. I mean, today we were doing some defensive breakdown stuff. The amount of ground she can cover with the ball in the air, it's pretty phenomenal. So I think she can be a really, really good defender right away in this league. Like, there are times when, she's going to get pounded a little bit, but I think she's tough. I don't think she's going to back down from a bigger player screening her, but I do think she's got the right mentality. Like, she's very even keeled. She's going to let a play go and try to be better the next play. She's the first one here every day. I mean, I love that about her. First one to a team meeting, first one, so she has the right mindset, to be successful in this league. And I think she's a better 3-point shooter than her career statistics say. I mean, even if you go back to her freshman year at Washington, when she was playing with Plum, and she could step into shots, and she didn't have to take so many late shot clock shots and be the focal point, like we're kind of teaching her to sometimes get out of the middle of the floor, in transition, so that we can set aside and create secondary. She's just so used to having to have the basketball in her hands because that's what her team needed, so kind of learning to play off the ball, again, is something that takes progress. I mean, she'll run the point, but, gosh, if we have Kennedy and we've outletted the ball to Kennedy, it's about getting her butt to the corner and how quickly can you get there. And, if Kennedy cuts, you're going to fill and you're going to have the ball back in your hands. But, I think that's the thing, that she'll continue to learn to do through camp. But I think, she's taken the right approach, all the way around.
And last question, we'll go to Nia Sapp. Go ahead, Nia.
Hi, Coach. Nia Sapp here with 92.9 The Game. I wanted to ask you, I know that you talked about Kennedy and Aari playing together in 5-on-5 today. Will we see more of Aari, making those adjustments for her? Will we see her playing off the ball a little bit more this season? Or what are you thinking?
I mean, some of it has to unfold, I think, Aari can play off the ball, but I would tell you, Kennedy spent most of her collegiate career playing off the ball, so she's fine, playing off the ball. But you can't forget Odyssey here, because right now Odyssey's, kind of the most complete point guard on our roster as far as, offensively and defensively, and they're all really, really good. But you kind of can't talk about the two without the other one. I mean, that's me being defensive of probably a veteran guard who's been an all-star in this league. Like, I think people sometimes forget when we talk about Kennedy and Tiff coming back that, Odyssey was an all-star in 2019. So, she's a player that knows how to play and, is gonna manage her team, and these young players, can learn from her. And if they're willing and their eyes are wide open, they're going to see that she competes at both ends, but she's also, kind of that vocal leader that those two are going to have to learn to be really, really good point guards in this league. So I think they're all going to mix in on and off the ball, and, we're going to ultimately over time see that it won't matter. If Aari's going to push the ball faster, then we're going to outlet it to her and tell Kennedy to get to the corner, and if Kennedy is going to push the ball harder, in certain situations, or it's matchup driven, maybe it's the person that has the easier matchup in transition that brings it, and so I think some of it will be matchup driven. Some of it will be, who proves over time that they're going to create the pace that we need them to. And so I think all those things go into play in terms of where you're going to see them. This is a deep roster, and they're all going to get minutes in the preseason games, and it's going to unfold. Like it can't unfold in 3 days, and it can't unfold without Tiffany Hayes in the fold, so I think that's part of it as well.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. All right. We've got Odyssey Sims here. If you have a question for her, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll start with Howard McDonald. Go ahead, Howard.
Hey, Odyssey. Good to chat with you always. Coach was just talking a little bit about Aari and her defense in year one. And that defending in this league requires a different set of skills and a mental set of skills as well. And I guess if you could take me back to what you remember as somebody who obviously sold out defensively from the get-go in this league, how much better you got defensively over time, and what are some of the things that are necessary in order to get better at defense over time in this league?
I just think coming from college, up to the WNBA, it's a step up. Everything's faster, everything's different. WNBA, you really have to pay attention to angles, spacing, all of that's important. College, you kind of get away with it. But I think just someone who's defensive minded first, I could say I've gotten better just with the vets that I've had around me, other defensive players. That's good as well. I pay attention to angles. I really take pride in getting over screens. I don't like to get hit by screens at all. I go over every screen I can. I really don't like to go under, even if it's a scouting report. I'm really a go over the screen kind of player first, but it's not easy. But I think as we get going and we pick up, our defense collectively as a team will get better. With Aari being a good defender as she was in college, carrying over to now, she's definitely going to help us on the defensive end and the offensive end as well. We're just going to keep teaching, learning. I'm still learning myself. Like, you can never be too good on the defensive end or the offensive end. Sometimes I get mad. I don't like to get scored on. So I take that personal. So I'm just going to try to carry that over to this team this year. And hopefully that we will be a better defensive team than last year.
Hey, Terrell, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Odyssey. How are you?
Good.
All right, I have two quick questions. First, obviously, this year you all are back on the road, so being able to visit different arenas. With you being a vet, what are, a lot of all of the rookies missed out last year on those quote unquote rookie moments. So with you being a vet, anything surprising or anything in store you have for them, maybe those rookie duties on the road? And then secondly, what was your reaction when you saw the news of Kim Mulkey heading to LSU?
I think for the rookies, we were in the bubble last year, so we didn't travel. I think the main thing is they're going to be, have to make sure that they take care of their bodies, make sure they're eating, getting the right nutrition. Fluids is very important, especially when we have long travel days, traveling from East Coast to West Coast back home. Those things come into play when we have connecting flights, something that the rookies, second-year players haven't experienced yet. So that's just going to be something that I make sure that I stay on top of them about. And like I said, just eating right. You have to make sure that you're eating the right things and make sure that you're able to perform. Even on off days, you still have to take care of your body. And I'm happy for Coach Mulkey. I still talk to her. We have a great relationship. I actually talked to her this morning. Told her I was excited for her because I know she's excited to go back home. And I told her I'm going to try to catch a game or two this upcoming season.
Spencer Nussbaum, go ahead.
Hey, Odyssey. We've talked quite a bit with Coach Nicki so far, just about the different roles and things that you can do with such an exciting and deep backcourt. I'm curious where you kind of envision your role in all of this, either playing on or off the ball, and what you see as maybe the affordances of the team's play style if you run 3 or 4 guards out there at once.
We have a lot of depth. My biggest thing right now to focus on, I know we're in training camp. We don't have our, the full roster set right now. But our biggest thing is with the group that we have right now, just getting to learn each other. We got a lot of new faces this year, including myself. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Learning each other and then just playing together. These first 3 days, it's training camp. So it's been up and down, but we're going to continue to work. We have a full season ahead, a lot more practice days to get better. So I do believe that we will at some point click and we will be rolling this year.
All right, last couple of questions. We'll go to Cheryl Coward. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Hi, Odyssey. Coach mentioned briefly your leadership abilities, and can you maybe discuss the development of you as a leader in the WNBA now that you're a veteran, and also, with Kim Mulkey going to LSU, she's known you since you were a kid, maybe her impact on your life as a player and as a person?
I think with this team, we're going to obviously be a running team. We have a lot of guards. Like I said, we have a lot of depth. For me, personally, I'm here to do what Nicki wants me to do. She wants me to be a vet, lead this team, make sure I'm picking everybody up, body language, just the small things that, maybe they haven't had over the last few years, not taking anything away from the teams that they've had before I've gotten here. But that's my biggest thing, is make sure that I keep everybody up. We tend to drop our head when we miss shots. We get scored on, we get an and one team make a run. We kind of go in this little ball, or, you see one head drop, see shoulder shrug. That's something that we're going to try to minimize this year. I'm going to try to do my best to help Nicki lead this team and make sure that we're staying together. Like I said, just me leading, whether I'm on the ball, off the ball. One thing's for sure, that what I'm going to do, I'm going to play defense. I'm going to give it 100% on the defensive end every single day. Offensively, we're really quick. So we're definitely going to be a team that's probably going to score a lot in transition, and super quick in transition, especially off made and missed baskets.
And last question for Odyssey, we'll go to Raphael Haynes. Go ahead, Raphael.
Hey, Odyssey, welcome to Atlanta. This is Raphael from the 3-point conversion. We saw Just a few, when you first started, Kennedy come over here messing with you, it seemed like while you were doing the interview. But wanted to ask you, coming into the season, playing with a great backcourt, a lot of talent, how excited are you as far as being able to be a mentor with these young guards and just to play with them?
You know, I think my time in the league has gone pretty fast. This is year 8 for me, and I still can't believe it. Like literally, I'm almost on the older side of the vets. But to be where I am now, I'm excited to have the opportunity to lead the young ones, Kennedy, Aari, and all the younger players that I have around me. I kind of, as you can say, I kind of work to be in this position, but I take this role, I take this leadership role very serious. And like I said, anytime I can help someone else, if it's correcting Kennedy on offense, defense, just the little things, even about spacing, that's what I'm here to do. I know when I came in this league, I had good vets that spoke to me about this and that. It's all a learning experience when you first come in. And as long as you're listening and being able to, engage and take in everything, then we'll be fine.
All right, thanks so much, Odyssey.
Thank you.
Howard McDonald, we'll start with you. Go ahead, Howard.
Aari, good to chat with you as always. Place I want to start is just a little bit about what Coach was talking about with you off the ball, playing in conjunction with Kennedy. Obviously, it's something you had significant amount of success at, playing with Kelsey Plum early on in your career. Take me through sort of where your game is in terms of playing off the ball and how much you enjoy it.
Well, in practice right now, I haven't been playing off the ball, but I'm pretty sure that will come. But I'm really excited to play off the ball. Like, that's something I've never really had to do since like my freshman year. But played with Kenny today, and we had great chemistry. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Nia Sapp, go ahead.
Hi, Aari. I wanted to ask you, what adjustments have you made, not just on the court, but off the court? What are you learning about yourself as you embark on your rookie season?
Being the pro is definitely different from being in college and playing. I'm learning like that I have so much free time, but like I'm still in school, so I'm still doing like classwork. But just finding new hobbies. I don't really like to cook like that, but just finding ways. I'm starting to cook and just starting to read more. So that's what I've been learning more about myself. Like I have to read and just find new hobbies pretty much.
B. Terrell, go ahead.
Hey, Aari. Not even a full month yet. It's been a whirlwind from the tournament to the Final Four to the draft to now training camp. So what is it like so far for you mentally going through that transition? As you just stated, you still in classes and things like that, as you're getting used to being a pro and also in the Atlanta area.
It's definitely it's adjustment. Like it's going. I'm just learning, never get too high, never get too low. There's gonna be, growing pains in the game. Like it's different from college. The pace is different. You're not like the best on the team. Like there's a lot of stars on the team. So, just, adjust and really taking everything in from the vets, people who've been here, the more, players have experience. So I've just been listening to them and trying to just soak up everything, just pretty much be a sponge.
Tim Doss, go ahead.
Hi, Aari. On that point about learning, how important is it for you to have a defensive-minded guard like Odyssey there to learn from, since that's kind of your calling card? And what are you taking from her?
Yeah, I'm honestly this is day 3, but I can honestly say just going against Odyssey, it'll make me better. Odyssey going against me, make me better, and I'm just seeing how she plays. She's always vocal, always talking, always directing her teammates. So I'm really trying to become that vocal person for my team and also direct. So I'm really just watching her and see how she moves on the court.
Raphael Haynes, go ahead.
Hey, Aari, Raphael Haynes from the 3-point conversion. First, was it like going back to kindergarten as far as being excited, your first day of training camp on Sunday, and then, as you mentioned, playing with Odyssey, Kennedy, and even the other vets? What have you picked their brains about?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, going into training camp, I was very excited, also a little nervous, but once after the first day, I was fine. Like, the jitters went away. I started to play, like myself, be more comfortable and stuff like that. And just playing with Odyssey, Courtney, Kennedy, like I really been watching them, like how they move. They're always steady, always talking, always being vocal. It's really always communicating early, loud, and often. So I'm really just trying to pick up on that.
Howard, go ahead.
Hi, Aari. What are some of the best advice you received leading up to training camp, whether it be from a deal, your teammates, or parents, and how has it served you so far in practice?
Yes, so Coach Barnes told me before I even got here, she just said, hey, do you, and you'll be fine. Be different from others, talk loud, or, take charges, just do stuff that others aren't willing to do. And then also before, camp, Coach Nicki told me, hey, to be myself. And I think I really, haven't been the third day, nothing's going to be perfect. But I think today I really came on my shell and I was really myself today.
Tarika Foster-Brasby, go ahead.
Hey, Aari, it's Tarika. Quick question for you. So you mentioned some of the things like pace and adjustments, things that were different from the college game to the WNBA. What have you found to be the most challenging of everything thus far?
I would say just pretty much trying to learn like where my teammates are most efficient. Like, I'm not at Arizona where I have a core of people, like I've been knowing them, knowing how to play with them, how to distribute the ball to them. So, as a point guard right now, like I'm really trying to, study my teammates to see where they best are, like they can score, easy buckets. So, I'm really just trying to figure that out.
Last couple of questions here. We'll go to Spencer Nussbaum. Go ahead, Spencer.
Hey, whether it's obviously this is a huge adjustment, whether it's playing with certain teammates, getting your first paycheck, playing in a certain city, what are you most looking forward to when the regular season finally kicks around?
I am most looking forward to playing against my old teammate, Kelsey Plum. Like, I'm excited. He's on the same team, but now I'm on the opposite team as her. So I'm very excited to play against her and to guard her.
And last question, we'll go back to Howard McDonald. Go ahead, Howard.
It's two quick ones, if I can. One is just, there's so much conversation that there's been about your size coming in. And I'm just wondering, first couple of practices facing WNBA size players, how has it been? And then I just got a quick follow-up on something different.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's different. I was the smallest one in college, but it's definitely different. Like, I'm with grown women, people that have like some girth to them and some muscle. So, it's definitely different. And I'm used to like crashing like how I did in college. So it's like, I'm not even stepping foot in the paint to grab a board. Like, I'll let them get it.
And just unrelated, but you say you're still working on class. What classes are left? How close are you? What's that like?
No lie, it's tough. I just have to find a balance though between basketball. You gotta have some time for myself. Gotta regroup from the day. But it's been tough. I'm waking up early. Just been gone for like a certain amount of hours and coming back, having to do homework. But it's tough. And so our semester ends May 5th, and so I still have like 3 classes left in my program. So I hope I'll have my degree by September.
All right, thanks, Aari. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.